I chose to go to the University of Wisconsin, and it was about 1977. And I was at the registration in the Union South building, and I was going to be an engineer. And I approached the door to the engineering room, and I looked in there, and the next door over was the forestry room. And I thought, I paused and I thought, I could either make parts and sit in a cubicle, or I could maybe go out in the woods. And so I did that. And so I don't want to go into all the details about college. There's a lot of stories there, but don't want to spend a lot of time with that. But I did meet a lovely woman, Beth. And so Beth and I got together, and we decided to get married. And I graduated from forestry school, and she graduated from her educational degree. And we really didn't have much of a plan. It was sort of half-baked. But we drove out to New Hampshire, and we found ourselves in the Peterborough parking lot of the A&P, and said, this is good enough. And we decided we had to get a place to live, and so we found a basement apartment in Temple, a walkout basement. And so I found a job working for a company down in Milford, making firewood. And my job was to buy the firewood into the mill, and sometimes that involved doing woodlots for people and thinning their woods. And through that, I met this fellow by the name of Thurston Williams. And turned out that job wasn't much of a job, and it didn't last for very long, and I got let go. And that was the spring. And it was a nice spring. And I was sitting in the, having breakfast with Beth, and I said, I just kind of looked at her, and I thought, I think I might have let you down. And we just, wasn't it wasn't long after that this man showed up at our doorstep. It might have even been that day. Thurston came by, and he said, are you busy? And I said, no, not really. And he said, I have some land I'd like you to look at. It's 1,600 acres up in Stoddard. And he said, 1,600, that's 3 square miles. And, or about 3 square miles. And I said, sure, I'll do that. And he left kind of abruptly. He's a very abrupt person. And then I looked at Beth and I said, I have to figure out how to do this. So what he wanted to know as much about that piece of land as I could tell him. And he really had given me quite a gift, because that was a really good opportunity to learn. The first thing I had to do was figure out how to gather up this information and get it into a computer, because at the time, 1982, there weren't really very many computers around, and I knew I'd worked with computers at Wisconsin, And I kind of knew how to program it. There was like go to and if then, the basic. And I saw a flyer at Ames where they had this TI-994A computer that they were selling for $100 with a $50 rebate. That was a lot better than a PC, which cost $3,000, or an Apple II at the time, but it came with no software, so I actually did have to program it. I also needed a monitor, so I went to the dump and I was able to get a black and white TV screen that had a round screen, and I plugged that in, and it worked. And I got one of those plastic little cassette recorders, and that's where the data went. And then I wrote the program, and it worked. And then I had to remember how to actually do a timber inventory, which means walking through the woods in a course and taking data the same way at each point, and actually measuring the trees and coming up with some information that made sense. Walking through this piece of land was magnificent. There were and are still pine trees out there 4 feet in diameter. There's a river that actually runs through it. There's several big ponds and lots of gigantic moss-covered rocks. So I was out there for about, I think, maybe 2 months taking information, and then another couple weeks entering that into my little TI-994A computer. And I had no printer, so I had to then write all the numbers down. But I did. And then one day I met Thurston and his wife Dolly up at on Route 9 by this piece of land, and I said, I did it, here it is. And I handed it to him. And I drove home, and I had dinner with Beth, and I thought, I guess we're going to be okay.